Hi everyone, I hope you are keeping well. I would like to introduce you to some classical music scandals that you might never have heard of. Some of them are not really scandals, but I still found it interesting when I was researching this topic. The first one I would like to cover is Jean-Baptiste Lully. Maybe you have not heard of him before because he was in the early days of classical music. He was born in 1632 and died in 1687. Before his time, orchestras or groups of musicians performing didn't really have a conductor to lead them. Mostly the pianist would take the lead and everyone would follow. He was known as the world's first documented conductor. And he did not use a small baton like conductors use today. Instead, he had a very long stick that he kept by his side and used to stamp on the ground to keep the rhythm for the orchestra to follow. Unfortunately, being the world's first conductor, he also died of conducting. One day when he was conducting, he stabbed himself in the foot with this long pole that he was using. He developed gangrene and he died from that. He was not really a very good role model for the conductors that followed after him. Satie was born in 1866 and died in 1925. He was not as famous in his lifetime as we might have thought. By the time he died in 1925, hardly anyone outside of Paris knew about him. He is best known for his piano pieces called Gymnopédies, which he debuted in 1890. The scandal involves a new ballet, which Erik Satie premiered in 1917. It was called Parade. One of the critics of the day, Jean Pouet, was so disgusted by the performance that he slated Satie publicly in the newspapers. To which Satie publicly replied, "Sir and dear friend, you are not only an a-hole, but an a-hole without music." Needless to say, the critic Pouet was not impressed, and he sued Satie and actually won the bitter court case. Even the audience that attended the debut on 18 May 1917 were not impressed. They booed, they hissed, and even threw oranges at the orchestra. Why was it so controversial? He used new sound effects in his piece, like typewriters, milk bottles clinging, gunshots, foghorns, and even sirens. I often wonder if any of those audience members attended any of the modern composers today, what their impression would be about that. Joseph Haydn was born in 1732 and died in 1809. When he was a child, he used to sing in a church choir. He had a very angelic soprano voice. When he was getting older, reaching puberty, his voice started to change. His choir master actually came up with a proposition. There was a small operation that Haydn could do that guaranteed that his voice would remain a soprano forever. Haydn was very enthusiastic and agreed to this process. Unfortunately or fortunately, his father found out about this proposition and he put a stop to it. Imagine if Haydn agreed to this. We might never have had any of the great compositions because he would have remained as a soprano choir singer. Igor Stravinsky was a Russian composer, pianist and conductor. He moved to France for some time and later became an American citizen. He was born on June 17, 1882 and died on April 6, 1971. Stravinsky was not a stranger to controversy. His Rite of Spring, which debuted in 1913, was received so badly that it actually caused a riot in the audience and police had to be called in to come and break it all apart. He was a very polite, courteous and highly sociable person, but he was also rumored to be a womanizer, and it is rumored that he even had an affair with Coco Chanel, the famous designer. Once, Stravinsky was asked to perform the American national anthem. Sacrilegiously, he inserted a controversial dominant seventh chord at a crucial point in the performance. The police warned him, gave him a $100 fine, and arrested him for this offense. Crazy days. Franz Liszt was what you would call a superstar in his days. Women would wear his portrait on brooches and cameos. In Berlin in 1842, his performance actually caused hysteria amongst the women. This is where the term Listomania comes from. Women were fighting even over his discarded cigarette butts, his handkerchiefs and gloves, and everyone was fighting to get a lock of his hair. It became so bad that he actually got a dog, and he cut the dog's hair into pieces and sent those to his adoring fans. I hope you found this as interesting as I did. If you know of any other classical musician scandals, please add them in the comments below. I will try and include them in a future episode. And please remember to subscribe and like this video.